breaking free of the safety bonds Sapodilla Lagoon gripped us with, we ventured off to Caye Caulker. But sometimes getting there is half the fun. We stopped for a night at Middle Long Caye and couldn't resist exploring by dinghy. And sometimes it's just nice to float, to feel as one with the sea, watching the birds as we drift back to Livin Life. Lanyap and Laquesto were still traveling with us, and Dave picked them up, since their dinghies were stowed, for a nice evening of drinks, food, and conversation. The next morning we were off again, parting ways with the deeper drafted monohulls. They needed to take an outside route, and we opted to stay in the inside passage and try our luck with Porto Stuck. We fished our way across the English Channel, where big cargo ships and cruise ships come into Belize City, and watched how the crew was shuttled on and off this ship. Dave was able to rest until...
This is Porto Stuck. It's very shallow here. And we're following a barge with a crane on it. I don't know if he's going to be deeper. I can see he's like turning up the water, the sand. He's leaving a whole trail of it. I don't know if that shows up. I think he's kind of dredging as he goes. Interesting following him through. Hopefully he'll make it deeper for us. So we've been following this guy and seeing the tracks he's leaving, and it looks like he's stuck right now.
As we exited the shallows, he turned around to go through again, and indeed, he was dredging. We saw no less than 6 feet 2 inches of water at high tide, but not sure if that was because of the dredging. At last, we made it to Caye Caulker, and on our own boat this time. It had been a year since we flew in to visit Slow Flight and Vidora after they necessarily left us behind in Roatan. I spent days trying to capture a good glimpse of a manatee. The nose comes up for air, then they hover at the surface. The nose takes another snootful of air, then back to floating just below the surface. On the third breath, they swing up and around to dive back down. Then it can be a long time before you see one again. I love having manatees as neighbors. But we're here at Caye Caulker for one big reason. Yep, kiteboarding, and lots of it. But this is Baptiste, and he'll get his own video later. This is my star of the show. Dave was overjoyed to be back on the board and feeling good doing it. He was a little rusty and nervous at first, but it's like riding a bike, and he was testing the waters in no time. And this is me, testing my new 4K Panasonic semi-pro video recorder. Sounds fancy, but the photographer isn't. The zoom is amazing, but a close-up of a moving target is challenging. As you can see, I need a lot of practice. Fortunately, there was a lot of kiteboarding going on. Nice one. The wind tended to be on the light side, so Dave was thankful Bruce from Vidora had strongly suggested Dave buy a 15-meter kite. It was the most used kite by far. The 15-meter is not as good for jumps and tricks, but it kept him kiting in light wind. Claudette from Prophecy was out there learning on her own and toughing it out. Dave got better and better, getting bigger air and some grabs in. He started fine-tuning and focusing on moving the kite forward to gain momentum for landing. Sometimes it doesn't all go as planned, but even crashing is okay when you feel you've made some good progress. Kiteboarding in Caye Caulker has some challenges. First, the beach is busy with tourists when trying to launch and land the kites. Second, there's a very solid concrete seawall where everyone does their water starts. Baptiste is a pro. Most people can't take off so close to the wall. There's a strong current and a danger to people on shore from low-dipping kites. Third, there's a lot of water traffic to watch for. There's boats, windsurfers, snorkelers, and swimmers all competing for water space with the kiteboarders. It can be quite hectic near the split, and the shallows are an obstacle course on busy weekends. Crazy, right? This is Mike, who has a bar aptly named Margarita Mike's. He's a super nice guy and an avid kiteboarder who loves to push the envelope. And he's super fun to watch. In fact, one of our favorite things about Caye Caulker was getting to know the local personalities. This is Kuba, who runs the Kite Explorer shop on the island. Kuba is your go-to guy if you want to take lessons and rent gear. Dave needs to work on his high fives. I really enjoyed sipping cocktails at the Lazy Lizard, sitting at a shaded table, and watching the kiters do their thing. Claudette kept on toughing her way through it. Sweet landing, Mike. This is Steve from Slow Flight, and this is Dave photobombing his shot. A nice little jump transition. Dave is really starting to get up there. High enough that crash landings can score him some rocks in his shorts. And with all this practice, my shot smoothed out as I followed the kiters. The guys look like they're having so much fun. It almost tempts me to try taking lessons. But then, I truly enjoy just watching and practicing my video shooting on them. It's not just the kiteboarders that crash. Dave wasn't happy with this jump, but by patting his head, he's telling me that it's time to land the kite. And every night there's a show to watch at the sunset wall at the Lazy Lizard. Whether there are kiteboarders, different kinds of boats, wildlife, or just one of the many gorgeous Belizean sunsets.